there's promises of a new covenant, of a coming Messiah, of a new creation. But there's no Messiah, no new covenant. Where is this stuff happening? They're waiting in expectation. So think of this genealogy a little bit like this. Think of it as a bridge. Think of it as a footbridge by which we move from the Old Testament to the New Testament. You see, a lot of people have this misconception that Jesus showed up and he started a new religion. When a close reading of the scriptures will show you that Jesus was prophesied, foreshadowed, announced in the Old Testament. Jesus is not the beginning of a new religion, he's the fulfillment of the very first. Jesus is the long-expected Messiah. And so this genealogy anchors Matthew into the whole story of the Bible. It weaves it all together. What you have is 66 books, a collection, a library, but it is also one story that runs throughout. It has one voice, one message, one central figure, and that is the figure of Jesus. So we're going to look at his family tree this morning, and I want to pick up three things that I see in there. First is that God works through scandalous people. Not something you would expect in the Messiah's family legacy. Second, God works through nasty situations. Stuff that, this is like Jerry Springer style. Is that reference way too old now? Anyway. And then thirdly, he works through unexpected events. So let's just dive into it. Point number one, God works through scandalous people. You'll notice verses 1 through 6, and I'll spare you since we do not have the time and you don't want to listen to some white boy trying to pronounce Jewish names in the worst possible way. Job, right? I'm just going to do it in sections, okay? And we'll scan it over. You're welcome to read through. I encourage you to. Maybe I'll hit one or two names. We'll see how I do. But anyways, so this first section, verses 1 through 6, is it's from Abraham to David. And let's pick it up. Here's how the book begins. Keep in mind, you're jumping in halfway through a story. So there's been 700 prophecies given in the Old Testament about this coming Messiah, this coming king who will rule, who will be the fulfillment of Abraham, the promises to Abraham, to Judah, and so on and so forth. So we're looking for a very specific person. He's the great-grandson of Abraham. And so this is how the book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew begins. Chapter 1, verse 1. It says, the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And that is how we begin this tour of the Gospel of Matthew. Now, when it says the book of the genealogy, very literally, if you want to render the Greek, it's the Bibliogenesis. The Bibliogenesis. If you recognize Genesis, it's the first book of the Bible. So many scholars will make a lot of hay out of this particular thing, and they'll say, this is the book of the new Genesis. This is the new creation. And the goal in that insight is they're trying to open up our minds and our understanding. The story isn't just about a first century rabbi who had some good things to say, who Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi really liked, right? He's not just a good teacher. He's not just a great guy. He didn't just have some good things to share. This is a story of a new creation, of a new Genesis. There's something in this central figure of all human history that's going to transform the world forever. So it says, this is the book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ. There's our guy. That's who we're going to be looking at, who we're going to be studying, who we're going to be following, who we're going to be loving throughout this study, and I would pray throughout our lifetime. Jesus Christ, the central figure of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus. Jesus is his name, probably a name you're really familiar with. What's interesting is that Jesus is actually in Hebrew Yeshua, or we would probably better just translate it Joshua. Joshua. And Joshua means Yahweh saves. God saves. In his very name is the seed, the embryonic form of what he came to do. So what Matthew is saying here is that Jesus is the fulfillment of the Old Testament. This is the entire Bible in a nutshell through this genealogy. And what is interesting as we look through the genealogy is that the Son of Man came from a very crooked family tree. Not everyone in Jesus' family was holy, virtuous, saintly. There is scandal, there is drama, there is trauma, there is intrigue. This stuff gets dirty, gets nasty.